Hello and welcome once again to this video series where we will learn about how to use the Church Galaxy software. In this video, I'll show you how to add a guest, which is also sometimes called visitor, to your church. Okay, if you have this access, then you can go to guest and click on add guest, and this page would open. I am currently in the pastor user with a pastor's role. This form is generally filled by the guest editor. So when the guest editor logs in, he sees this form straight away. He doesn't go to any dashboard or any other page. He sees this form. So what is it all about? And what are the conditions you need to meet in order for this form to be submitted? Let's read this. It says that here in this form, you can enter the guest details. You will need to assign a caller, and a caller must be already a church member. That means an attendee or another guest cannot be a caller. And must have an email ID. I'll tell you why. Because an email is sent to the caller that this person has been assigned to you to make a call. So if he doesn't have an email ID, he doesn't get an email. So we have made it mandatory that the caller to whom you're assigning the guest to call must have an email ID. Similarly, the guest needs to be associated with a pastor, so that pastor can know that a guest has visited. And pastor too must have an email ID. What happens after you submit the form? An email is sent to the caller, and a follow-up case is opened with the pastor. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay, here you have to enter the date of visit, so you can go ahead and choose a date, say for example 28 September, and the guest name. This is an interesting field. Here it says that it is possible that the record of guest already exists in the system, so it is important to check to avoid creating a duplicate. That means you have to first check whether a guest name already exists. If it does, then probably you shouldn't do anything, because you'll have to go ahead in the back and you should tell your admin or the pastor that this guest record is already entered in the system. Somehow we have got its record. So that will avoid creating a duplicate or working on the same guest data. Anyways, let's go ahead and see. For example, let me type A. It shows up some contacts up front. And all these names are just dummy names. None of them are real. It's purely coincidental if it is. Okay, now let me take a name which is not there. For example, I'll give it a name of guest 200. It says, well, I can't find it, so it will create a new contact. If you don't think that's right, click on this cross and it will give you a chance to enter it again. Say for example, you are looking for someone, say guest visitor for 33, and you can notice that once you select it, the first name, last name and other details that are already there is autofilled. If the record exists, then its corresponding fields are autofilled in the form. Anyway, we will go ahead and make a guest 200. This is the first name, last name. Okay, so we create guest 200. It goes into the first name and the last name. You can enter the gender, age group and other details which you can see later. You can enter the address, and interestingly you have all the countries listed here. So if you go for India, you have the states of India. If you go for say another country, then you have the states of that particular country. It automatically changes to that. Okay, and you can close this field set, and now here you can enter the phone number and the mobile. Be careful that the mobile number should be 10 digit only, because in future we want to send SMS, and SMS works only if it is 10 digit. You should not proceed with a 0 or a 91, okay, or plus 91. It should be absolutely 10 digit number. And you can choose the phone type. You can say that it's a phone, a regular phone. The residence phone is a regular phone, or the office phone is a regular phone, or mobile. You can choose that. Then you have the preferences. You can choose what he wants to do, and he wants to be contacted or not. Then this question of how did you come to know about the church today? So if you are if you have any of these fields, then you can select that. If it is other, then you'll have to fill this up. What's the other reason? Like, what's the other way did you come to know about this church? Did someone refer you? And if you have a prayer request, or you have a face-to-face conversation details. Now this field is like, if you know the person, if you've met and if you have spoken to him, you know some more things about him which you want the caller or the pastor to know, and that will help them. But however, please take care that you don't fill in some private data which the caller wouldn't expect, which the guest would not expect anybody else to know, at least written down and recorded. Certain things are private and confidential, so we need to respect that privacy. Now coming down to the existing caller. Now what it means is that the caller must already be a member. That's why we call it an existing caller. You cannot assign it to a new contact. Okay, so you have, say for example, let me take up a test caller which I already have. So I put into test 1 to 3, and that person gets an email. I don't know how I'll show that email to you. Anyway, then the pastor. I have a pastor named Rick Mode, and that goes to, you wouldn't see this field in normal users. Only pastors can see that. Other users like the guest data entry team will not see this field. It's a non-editable internal field which takes the timestamp when this particular entry was made. Okay, and then go ahead and submit it. That's it. Well, if you don't enter the date, you have to enter that. We did enter in the beginning, but then after we changed it, and that data was lost. So it is submitted. What do we do now? What happened with it? Well, one thing is that an email was sent to the caller, but then you can go ahead and see what happened what happened when you assigned it to the pastor. Okay, let me go to this dashboard of cases. You see that there is one case of welcome guest is assigned to the pastor. I need to tell you that I have logged in with the role of a pastor, and the pastor's name is Rick in this case. So it is me who have assigned a caller to myself, right? So it is seen in my own dashboard. For example, if I am the guest data entry editor, okay, then I would assign to another pastor. I will not be able to see the dashboard. What you will be able to see is that you will have the pastor can see the dashboard, not you. So you have ongoing case of one, and this is the subject. This is that hidden text field with the timestamp, and it's an ongoing case. Now you can open up the case and add on the following activities. The pastor can decide what needs to be done with it. First is like, okay, it was scheduled to open up the case, it's done. So you can change the status to completed. Okay, that was added, and the pastor recognizes, okay, that's done. And what is the next activity? There is a gap of, say, after the third day, a follow-up activity is scheduled. It depends upon what happens after the call, what kind of follow-up needs to be done, and then after 21 days from the first date, from 1st of October, 21 days from that, another follow-up activity is scheduled. So this is how a pastor will be able to know that a guest has come and he needs to monitor it. And that way we can keep track of every guest and visitor. We can visit them, we can meet them, and tell them, see where they need help in, and see if they can be members of our church. Thank you so much for watching this.